This is part 2 of lesson 11-2. In this video, we're going to be reviewing areas of a rhombus and of a kite. And we find the area the same way, that's why we put them together. A rhombus, if you remember, looks like a tilted square. So it's just like a parallelogram. Both pairs of opposite sides are parallel, but it doesn't have to be straight up and down. Does not have to have 90-degree angles like a square. It can be tilted a little bit, but all four sides are congruent, right, for a rhombus. A kite basically looks the same, but all four sides do not have to be congruent. Two of the sides adjacent to each other will be congruent, and two of the other sides will be a different length, but they'll be congruent to each other, right, if that kind of makes sense. So they're similar. For a rhombus, it looks like we just took one of the corners and stretched it back, and that made a kite. That's all the difference is. All right, so to calculate the area, all we're doing is looking at the diagonals, right? So here or here, and we're multiplying them together and then dividing by 2. That's it. So this diagonal times this diagonal divided by 2. That gives us the area of a rhombus. Or this diagonal times this diagonal divided by 2 gives us the area of a kite. That's it. It's super easy, right? So for this diagonal, it's 7. For this diagonal, it's over here. It says it's 9 centimeters. So we're going to do 7 times 9 and then divide it by 2. So 7 times 9 divided by 2 is 31.5. 7 times 9 is 63. 63 times 1/2, or 63 divided by 2, is 31.5. So the area here would be 31.5 square units, or square meters. All right, so let's do a few of these. We won't do all of them, but we'll skip around. We won't do the important ones. Okay, for number 1, we know this is 20 and this is 20. So this entire diagonal is 40 inches. And then for this diagonal, it's 56 and 26, which is 82, I believe. 12 and 70, 82, yeah. Inches. So we're going to multiply 40 times 82 divided by 2. 40 times 82 divided by 2, which is 1640. 1640 square inches. 1,640 square inches makes up the area of this kite. And when you find area, it does not matter if it's a kite or a rhombus, you solve it the same way. Okay, for this guy, these two sides are marked congruent. This one is 10, which means this one has to be 10, which means this whole diagonal is 20 centimeters. And then this guy's 20 and this guy's 20 because they're marked congruent. So that means this whole thing is 40 centimeters. So I'm going to multiply 20 times 40 and divide by 2. 20 times 40 divided by 2, or times 1/2. So that's 800 divided by 2 is 400 centimeters squared. Okay, hopefully that's making sense. Let's do, here's a square down here. It looks like a square. This is 13, so this is 13. And this is 13, and this is 13. All four of these are marked congruent. So this diagonal is 26 centimeters. This diagonal is 26. So we're going to multiply 26 times 26 and divide by 2. We get 338. 338 square centimeters. Now, this is a square. All four sides are marked congruent, and they have congruent diagonals. So it's a square. So we could have figured out the area a different way, but when all we have is the diagonals, multiply the diagonals by each other and divide by 2, and that gives us the area. Okay, this guy, if these two are congruent, doesn't tell us. It doesn't tell us if these are congruent. Find area of each rhombus or kite. I guess we assume that they're congruent. I'm not really sure. Let's go ahead and assume that that's 8. If it's a kite, it wouldn't necessarily be congruent, and it's not marked. I don't know. We're just going to assume. So we'll say that this diagonal is 14. This diagonal is 16. So 16 times 14 divided by 2 equals 112, and that's meters squared. Multiply diagonal times diagonal, divide by 2. Okay, and last but not least, this diagonal is 12. This diagonal is 18. 12 times 18 divided by 2 is 108. And that's centimeters squared. Don't forget the units of measure. All right, last one here down here. I guess we did end up doing all of them, but that's okay. We're solving for x. So here's a trapezoid. We know 1/2 times the bases added together times the height gives us the area, which is 164. So we're going to say 1/2 times the bases, 12.8 plus 20, times x times the height. And we know the answer to that is 164. So we need to solve for x here. All right, 12.8 plus 20 is 32.8. 1/2 times 32.8 times x equals 164. 32 times 0.8 times 1/2 is 16.4. And then if I divide both sides by 16.4, I think I get 10. Oops. Yep. X equals 10, and our units of measure are in feet. X equals 10 feet. Okay, for this guy, that was a trapezoid. So remember, 1/2 base times height, but there's 2 bases in a trapezoid, so you add them together. For the area of a kite or a rhombus, which would also be like this diamond shape, you multiply the diagonals times each other and divide by 2. So it says this is x, it says this is 20, so 20 times x divided by 2 equals 340. So I'm going to solve for x. I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. That's going to be 680 divided by 20 equals about 34. X equals 34. That's way bigger than this. This is 20. This is only 34. Maybe x is just supposed to be half of this. It doesn't really specify. Maybe this is x. So maybe these together are 2x. What would we get if we did that? 2x times 20 divided by 2 equals 340. That would be 680 divided by 40, which would give us 17. One side would be 17, which still means the entire thing would be 34. Not really sure. It's drawn kind of funky. If this is the biggest side and it's 20, I'm not sure why this little guy would be 34. You can either solve for one side, which would be 17, or for the entire diagonal, which would be 34. All right, I'm going to stop right there. There's one more, but we've done enough. So if you have any questions about finding the area of rhombi or kites, or from the last video, trapezoids, or from 11.1 when we did parallelograms and triangles, please let me know, and you can always review the videos. Thanks.